Hi guys, I'm Keta from IT Life Club, and in this clip I'll be talking about what are both the incident management and major incident management processes. The plan to make this simple to digest, I believe it's a good one, and without further ado, here it is. We will kick off with the definitions, then we will move on to personas that are part of these processes, a real-life use case for each process, and finally the process diagrams. Okay, but where is ServiceNow in all of this? Well, rest assured, all that we will be covering throughout this clip is an introduction to a demonstration clip that will follow. Surely I could have combined the theoretical part with the demonstration one, but it would have been a long clip and I didn't want to bore you with that. And in addition to this, it's best to reflect on the theory before jumping into the demonstration part. Having that said, let us start with the definition of incident management. An incident is considered to be any event that could lead to an unplanned interruption to IT services or a reduction in the quality for the same. The incident management process aims to restore a normal service operation as quickly as possible and to minimize the impact on business operations, and thus ensuring that the best possible levels of service quality and availability are maintained. As a side note, when we say restore to normal operations, we actually refer to the agreed service level agreements, which we will cover later on in a separate clip. Should you find yourself asked to define incident management in just one word, remember that the correct answer is restore. Now moving forward, let us also discuss about the major incident management definition so that we understand the difference between them and why any organization needs to have both processes well defined and in place. A major incident is an incident that results in significant disruptions to the business and demands a response beyond the routine incident management process. Major incidents follow a different process with shorter timescales and urgency that is required to accelerate resolution processes for incidents with high business impact. In other words, a major incident is nothing else but an incident with high priority that may impact multiple users, financial departments, critical systems, production plants, you name it. Another thing worth mentioning is that unlike a regular incident which can be resolved by the first line of resolution by the helpdesk agent who is in contact with the end user, a major incident may require several teams working together with a single purpose, and that is to address the major incident at the earliest. We are done with the definitions, guys, but if there are any questions along the way, make sure to comment and ask your questions there or suggestions. But for now, let us move forward to the personas that will guide us through our processes. The first persona is the one any outsourcing company is relying on, and that is the end user or the customer, up to you how you would like to call him. The end user role in the incident management process is to raise awareness with the helpdesk about any incident that he or she is experiencing. Since I have mentioned the term helpdesk, let us also introduce them. And when I'm saying helpdesk, I'm not referring just to the agents that are taking calls, chats, or emails, but to the entire support organization, which can be referred to as fulfillers too, and may include level 2, 3, or 4, software engineers or infrastructure guys, etc. These personas are part of one or multiple assignment groups, and to keep things under control and in the defined service level agreements, they need a group manager that will monitor their activities. Some activities that are worth mentioning are: has the incident or the incident has been assigned to someone? Is that fulfiller working on it, or has he provided an update yet? You got the picture. The last persona is obviously the major incident manager, whose job description is more complex depending on how the ITIL best practices have been implemented. In most of the cases, the major incident manager is a designated person that will handle only priority 1 and 2 incidents. When I'm saying handle, I'm not talking about the troubleshooting steps, but the entire coordination of teams that are working jointly to address the incident throughout its entire life cycle. An aspect worth remembering is that a major incident manager doesn't have to possess technical skills, but rather has to be organized in terms of prioritizing major incidents He needs to be a good communicator as he will be coordinating teams and sharing updates with different stakeholders. And lastly, he or she needs to be a balanced person as they will be working mostly under a lot of pressure. There is surely more to it, but I'll be taking a step back now, talk about the use cases, and then continue to cement this information while going through the diagrams. As I was saying, it is now time for the use cases. I went for two similar ones that you may encounter in real life too, and the reason for which I have selected similar ones is because it will be easier for you to understand the difference between a normal incident and a major one. For the incident management use case, we will assume that the end user will call the help desk to report that he is not able to connect to the internet over Wi-Fi. Assuming that there are multiple colleagues on the floor and that our user is the only one facing this issue, then indeed, his issue will be treated as a regular incident and the fix for it may be a simple one. What will happen though if the entire department, or even worse, the whole facility is affected by this and there is no way for them to send or receive emails, unable to access databases, platforms, etc.? Well, this is scenario number 2, the one for the major incident management, and we will definitely address all the questions as well as all the steps in the demonstration clip. Till then though, I want to walk you through the diagram processes so that we have the complete picture before the demonstration. The first diagram that I will be referring to relates to incident management and the second one to major incident management. As a side note, I would like to emphasize on the fact that both diagrams have been designed in a user-friendly way so that you take the most out of them. Now starting with the incident management process, the first, or the trigger as I like to call it, occurs when the end user calls, texts, emails or chats with the help desk in order to report their incident. A note worth mentioning is that depending on the incident source creation, an incident can be automatically generated in ServiceNow. For instance, ServiceNow can be configured to raise incidents when emails are sent to a certain email address, or another alternative would be to have an incident created as a result of a chat session. For our example, we will assume that the affected user reported the incident by calling in, and it's now the agent's responsibility to raise the incident in ServiceNow, making sure to capture what the end user has described. Apart from what the end user is reporting, some extra information might be required, such as location, impact, and urgency. This extra information is needed in order to help the agent to determine if he is looking at a regular incident or a major one. Assuming that he is not, he will start looking for related knowledge articles to see if he can fix the incident on his own or needs to assign it to a different group. Most of the issues require a first level of support before having them escalated to the second level, but what you need to remember is the fact that no matter the level of support or the agent that is working on it, they must follow the provided troubleshooting steps mentioned in the knowledge article. After all the steps are performed, the agent will change the state to resolved and at the same time fill in the resolution details that are shared with the customer. Several things can happen now, but these two are the most common. The first scenario is where the user will reply and say that the issue is not resolved yet. The logical step here is to go back to step 5 and continue the troubleshooting until the user confirms that it has been resolved. And now the second one is where the user is happy with the solution, but for some reason chooses to ignore the ServiceNow notification that informs him that his incident now stands resolved. Well, we don't have to worry about this because in this instance, the incident will be automatically closed within 1 day and cannot be reopened afterwards. I would like to emphasize here that the main difference between a resolved and a closed incident is that you can reopen an incident that is in the resolved state, but cannot do the same for a closed one. That's pretty much it for the incident management process diagram. Congratulations on completing it. Now let us also discuss about major incident management. The start is similar as most of the incidents or major incidents are reported by persons to help desk. Of course, there are exceptions where organization may have monitoring tools that can report and automatically generate events that are actually major incidents. This process is called event management and is directly tied to both incident management and major incident management, but let's not overcomplicate things too much and stick to our scenario. The next steps for our process are very important and they represent the reason for most of the failures the organizations are facing. Why? Well, it's simple. If the helpdesk agent does not ask the right questions and does not assess the impact and urgency correctly, he will deal with a major incident as if it was a normal one and thus wasting precious time and costing the organization lots of money. This occurs mostly when the agent is not that experienced or when the company does not have a set of questions in place. To mitigate these errors, questions like "Are there multiple users affected?" or "Is there a workaround for this?" should be used by any agent that is working on the incident or major incident management process. If the issue has been reported as a major incident wrongly and it's actually a regular incident, it's not that bad. It will be treated as such and the process that will be followed is the end-to-end incident management. Again, having a good questionnaire in place would mitigate wrongly assessed major incidents. For our diagram though, we have an experienced helpdesk agent that realized our incident is actually a major incident and reported it to the major incident manager. He now has to evaluate the assessment of the helpdesk and if it is correct, he will raise the priority to 1 or 2 and assign it to the relevant group. In ServiceNow, the flow is slightly different, but the logic is the same. Instead of reporting it by calling the major incident manager, the agent will have the option to propose a major incident as a candidate, and then it will only be the major incident manager's responsibility to accept or reject that candidate. Now going back to our main scenario and assuming that the major incident has been accepted, the major incident manager will send out an email notification to all the affected stakeholders and, if needed, he will create a conference call, also to be remembered as a bridge call. This bridge call will bring in together all the involved parties that are affected by the ongoing major incident to determine what actions are to be performed and by whom. In all this time, the major incident manager will keep an eye on how the major incident is progressing and send out regular communications to the concerned parties. By concerned parties, I'm referring to different stakeholders that are either impacted by the major incident, upper management, or third-party vendors that are affected as well. Now, once all of this is done and the major incident has been addressed, the major incident manager will mark it as resolved, and to prevent similar situations to happen, he will report it to the problem manager so that he can conduct a root cause analysis. If you don't know what this is, don't worry because throughout this clip I have already mentioned different terms like event management, problem management, knowledge management or service level management. It's a lot to digest, I know, and I promise that we will get to talk about all of these, but in separate clips. For the time being, let us stop with the theory here, and I will be seeing you in the next demonstration clip in which we will get to put into practice everything that we have covered so far by creating both a normal incident and a major incident, and of course walk through the end-to-end life cycle. That's it for now. I hope that you have enjoyed this clip, found it useful, and if you did, give us a like, comment if there are questions or suggestions, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel.